Some other prominent Ghanaians like former Auditor General Yao Domelevo, they have petitioned Parliament to probe the Cecilia Dapaah's matter regarding the conduct of the IOCO. They're asking key questions. We'll be joined on the phone line shortly by Professor Jampo, but Helen has a statement. What does it state? The petition, what does it say?
All right, so it goes as follows. Concerned citizens calling for parliamentary probe into IOCO's failure to investigate money laundering allegations against Cecilia Dapaah and husband, Mr. Osei Kuffour. Now, it's addressed to the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, Cantonment Accra. Dear Sir, petition for parliamentary probe into IOCO's failure to investigate the money laundering allegations against Cecilia Dapaah. Article 103 of the Constitution and Standing Orders of Parliament. We, the underlined, being citizens of Ghana and interested in promoting and sustaining Ghana's democracy and the fight against corruption, which has retarded Ghana's progress for decades, wish to petition your High Office for a probe on the above matter. It is the situation that the Economic and Organized Crime Office, IOCO, led by its Executive Secretary, Mamiya Tiwa Adodankwa, has chosen not to investigate the allegations of money laundering against Cecilia Dapaah. Right. IOCO claimed that they cannot comprehend the basis of the OSP's opinion that Madame Dapaah, former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, and her husband were potentially involved in money laundering regarding the substantial sums of money discovered in their residence and in various bank accounts. The antecedents to the IOCO decision are that on the 21st of January 2024, the OSP handed over the docket in respect of the investigations of Madame Dapaah for corruption and corruption-related offences to IOCO on the basis that in the opinion of the OSP, the investigation so far tilted towards money laundering and structuring. This is to say that the OSP at the time did not find any evidence of corruption and corruption-related offences against Madame Dapaah. However, IOCO, upon receipt of the docket, did not act timeously to seize the money that the OSP was returning to Madame Dapaah, as publicly stated by the OSP. Indeed, there are many stories online which show various legal commentators and anti-corruption crusaders admonishing Madame Adodankwa to ensure that she or her reps were on site to also seize the money that the OSP was about to return to Madame Dapaah. The money seized by the OSP was a sum of $5.5 million and over 2.7 million cedis. The seizure was done in one of Madame Dapaah and her husband's homes in Abilimpi, Accra, upon searching it. The OSP also froze Madame Dapaah's accounts, which also run into millions of cedis and dollars. John, it's a fairly lengthy one. Shall I continue?
Right. Let me engage Professor Russell Jampo, who has joined us on the phone line. He's a professor of political science, University of Ghana, Legon. Prof, thank you very much for your time. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
Prof, why has it become necessary to drag this matter before Parliament and ask Parliament to conduct a probe?
Right from the word go, some of us saw that the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, gave an a priori clearance to Madame Cecilia Dapaah in this whole saga, even though the matter had not been investigated. He cleared him in the sort of comments and utterances he passed when he sought to accept Cecilia Dapaah's ousting or resignation from office as minister. And some of us thought that, look, given that the president is appointing authority of many of these state agencies that will be required to investigate Cecilia Dapaah, such an a priori statement that sought to pass a certain judgment, exonerating judgment on Cecilia Dapaah was going to be problematic because you were going to have these appointing authorities finding it difficult to come out with investigations that whose outcome would be contrary to the position of the president. And you know, in Ghana, people are just timid, okay? The days where people like Afarijan and other eminent Ghanaians got appointed to positions of trust, and they asserted themselves and they asserted their independence are gone. It appears that when people are appointed in our part of the world, and even clothed with power and authority and independence, they still pander to the executive president of the land. And so what many of us are seeing is that it appears that no one wants to do a work whose outcome would go contrary to the president's posturing and position. And so that's how come the matter went before OSP. Some of us were not so impressed about the way he conducted his own search, and we were therefore also not surprised at the posturing of Yuku, and then also the comments and reaction from the Attorney General. These are all appointees of the establishment of the president. And so we should not also live in a country where all of us would always be taken for granted. If the president gives an initial clearance, and so all others are doing their work such that they will all fall in line in agreement with the clearance of the president. And if there are men and women of courage and conviction in Ghana who feel that this is not right and it must not continue, then such men and women of courage and conviction must rise up to challenge the status quo. And so that's all we sought to do, that if the executive president and the appointees under him will not work to deliver justice, and they will not work to ensure that we get to the bottom of this matter, then we'll petition Parliament, we'll petition Speaker of Parliament to, if you like, constitute a certain bipartisan parliamentary committee to go into the matter. And we believe that when this happens, then we would really know what truly happened. And so that's why we sought to do what we have done. And I think that it's as simple as that.
Professor Ransford Jampo, Martin Pebu, Dr. Adam Bona, Dr. Kwada, Lawyer Abdullahi, and Domelevu, you are the lead petitioners. I've also seen an extended list of, if you like, call them ordinary Ghanaians and other professionals, students, nurses, shop owners, business people, blah, blah, blah. All of you are very confident that Parliament will indeed respond to your petition and actually bring a conclusion to this matter. But Parliament has in recent time also conducted these bipartisan probe, which have been widely televised, and still the conclusion of the issues are still within the domain of Parliament. The public know nothing about it. For example, the probe against COP, Alex Mensah, and the two superintendents, and Bugri Nabu appearing in the IGP Dampare matter. Before that, there was the Sputnik V issue, and you can name some of the things. Why are you confident that Parliament this time around will do differently?
You see, we haven't been told that Parliament is done with the probe or the work that they did. And what I know is that they went on recess. And it is within our legitimate right as a people to demand to know the outcome or the state of affairs of those probes and investigations. But if for nothing at all, those probes and investigations that were also televised give Ghanaians a fair knowledge and true picture of whatever was going on. And people got to know that some people were indeed scheming to oust the certain IGP. And for me, the fact that this even got many Ghanaians angry and so offered their support and defense for the IGP, the fact that this served as a certain buffer that prevented these unpatriotic Ghanaians from scheming and achieving their aim. The fact that this prevented them from manipulating or getting the president to out the IGP, for me, is something that is worth commenting on is something that can be described as an achievement, because I'm telling you that if this thing hadn't come out, if Parliament hadn't gone into it, okay, these guys would have worked behind the scenes to get the president to get rid of the IGP. And the president, knowing the public reaction, even when Parliament was going through the matter, I'm sure made him feel that, look, this man, if I go that route of acceding to the crude and corrupt machinations of a few disgruntled people within a service, if I succeed in going that route, I mean, Ghanaians will not be happy. I mean, that prevented the president from acting. And so I think that achieved something. But we still are within our rights to demand that Parliament bring a finality to that matter, because they didn't tell us that they were done with the investigation. So for all we may know, something stalled the process, or the process is still ongoing or something, but we still would be able to find out. But the idea of going to Parliament with this particular matter is that we have clearly seen Parliament under the leadership of
Speaker Bagbin, right?
Bagbin demonstrating the independence of Parliament. From 1992 up to now, all Parliament that we have had served as a rubber stamping agency or arm of government. Even though this particular Parliament also tend to rubber stamp, it has to a large extent demonstrated a certain assertiveness and independence, over the attempt of the executive arm of government to manipulate it. And so that gives us a certain confidence and hope that if it goes to Parliament, given the nature and persona and resolve and resilience and determination of Speaker Bagbin, he will be able to do things and constitute a committee that will be able to go into the matter that would unravel the story behind the current story that we are being told.
Well, the Attorney General has been involved in this matter. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has been involved in this matter. IOCO has also been involved, the police CID, and even the FBI. These are top institutions and one external body who are able to investigate issues and, hurriedly sometimes conclude the issues. Does it surprise you that all these four came together and yet we still have not answered the conundrum?
No, but as I indicated earlier, it is not surprising. I said right from the word go, the President of the Republic gave a certain clearance of the woman in this matter. And I'm saying that all these guys heading these institutions who are supposed to do a good job in investigating the matter do not want to do any work whose outcome would contradict the position of the executive president. And so that is why they have been quite lackadaisical. That is why they have found their own ways and means of almost telling us that nothing wrong happened and that the matter should die a natural death. And some of us are saying that Ghana does not belong to Akufo-Addo and his appointees. It belongs to all of us. And so we would not let them have their way in every matter. You are just privileged because at one point in time, you managed to, quote and unquote, fool many Ghanaians into thinking that you are the Messiah. He gave you the mandate and opportunity, and you disappointed us. We would not continue to allow you to throw dust into the eyes of the public. That will not happen. And so if the executive president wouldn't act, and if his appointees are also scared and afraid to do anything that whose outcome will go contrary to his position, we would petition anybody, any institution, any arm of government that we are confident in. And so that's all we sought to do.
I see. Well, there have been arguments on the streets also that Madam Cecilia Dapaah has since resigned from her position, which is quite unusual in many instances. The president has subsequently accepted her resignation, even though it looks like a love letter from one person to the other. And the husband has been explaining, you've seen other media people also explaining that, well, they are well to do, and so it is okay for them to have had this kind of money. The husband quickly is explaining also that they put this money together over a 20-year period. What exactly are you looking for? That she be reprimanded? That she be punished? That she be jailed? What are we looking for?
No, the point is that we truly want to know the source of the money. I mean, what the husband has been explaining or talking about is the husband's side of the coin. There are two sides to every coin. Okay, so we truly want to know the source of those huge sums of money. Now, if we get to know the choice of those huge sums of money, this will determine what we would think should happen to her. Because for now, we are not getting the true picture. Okay, it may well mean that, look, truly, it is her own money. She's richer than everybody, in spite of the fact that we know how much she should be earning as a minister. She has another source or other sources of income that makes her fabulously rich to that extent, the extent that she will keep these huge amounts of money in her home. And take note of this. So these are the sums of money she's keeping in her home. We have not gotten. We don't know where she's and what she's kept in her bank accounts, both in Ghana and outside the source of Ghana. We don't even know. And so the point is that we have to see the clear picture of the true source of money, the true source of the monies that she kept, in the home. And when we are clear in our mind as to how she got those monies, then we'll be in a position to be thinking about what we think should happen to her as a way of sanctions if truly she did something that was wrong.
Prof, Parliament reconvenes today. How soon do you want the issues heard for this committee to be put together for the issues that you have raised to be heard?
It will be our wish that they commence even today and bring a finality to the matter, because we live in a country where every now and then new things are happening, and new things sometimes are deliberately engineered and orchestrated to come in to torpedo current matters that are being discussed. And so we don't want this thing to be relegated to the background. We want to keep it on the front burner of public policy discourse. And so it will be our wish that the matter is given attention, utmost attention by Parliament, and then investigations, parliamentary committee, bipartisan committee of Parliament get into it as soon as possible.
Professor Ransford Jampo, I thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful.
My pleasure.
Great. And Professor Jampo is one of the petitioners who are petitioning Parliament to say, well, look into this matter again, because what IOCO has done so far and the stories we are hearing are totally different from what's on the ground. Here is Adam Senanu. He's with the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He's also been speaking on the matter. Listen to him.
We have great expectations of IOCO that they will show the same steadfastness and seriousness to deliver on this. And one of the things would be, if OSP has been given 72 hours to give over, how quick is the IOCO also going to make sure that these monies, especially those that have been found to be tainted, do not end up being, whistled out of the various accounts or spaces where they are now lodged, and that would ultimately would just make our case much more of a bigger hurdle to deal with. If IOCO were to make sure that the various sums that we have found to have strong indication of money laundering have been frozen, and not that they live in our space, as happened in the case of the procurement guy, the chief executive of procurement, ABAJ, where before we knew it, the money had all been whistled.
Okay, we'll have to bring that sound back. Let's Martin Pebu also, who is one of the petitioners, he had raised some concerns. He thinks that IOCO has not been serious. He puts it bluntly.
That is the effect of the Supreme Court's decision on money laundering, and also the IOCO Act, and thirdly, OSC's own act. So OSC is a creature of statute. In Section 79, the mandate of OSC is spelled out. And money laundering is not one of the mandates. Under Section 79 of the Act 959, you will see issues of bribery, you see extortion, undue influence peddling, corrupt selection of jurors, etc. But money laundering is not mentioned there. If you go to the IOCO Act, you'll find money laundering. And also there's a recent Supreme Court decision. It's called ex parte Ibrahim Malik. So now, that's what the OSC has to do. Except that I think to be practical, I would expect that IOCO would also bring in the police victories. IOCO must bring in police because what the Supreme Court held in ex parte Malik is that if the money involved is not government money, IOCO can't deal with the matter. So now that Mr. Jabe has sent the matter to IOCO, don't forget the matter spent about 7 months with him. And so, you know that it came to IOCO. If it turns out that that money is not direct government money, by some private money that is sought to be laundered, then it means IOCO itself, you can't deal with it. So I think to be practical, we have to jump in and ask IOCO to also bring in the police.
Helen, this is the pull and push. Are you optimistic that something good will come out of this?
It's difficult to remain optimistic, but I am quite excited that this petition is making the rounds, because ultimately Parliament has oversight as far as state institutions are concerned. And this matter, the way that it has been left, I don't think is satisfactory for any of us at all. For me, the most worrying thing is that sometimes we treat our laws as mere suggestions.
Yeah.
Like this is just something is there, because
let's not push it too hard.
Let's not push it too hard, because quite simply, Madam Cecilia Dapaah would have been expected to undergo some assets declaration.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
So that at a time like this,
of entering into the government.
Thank you.
And you know, the arguments that have been made is that she had previously served in President Kufuor's government, and then also in Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government. So the entry and exit of those assets ought to have been declared, right?
So that's something that is quite important. We can't treat that as a mere suggestion, because what will then happen, or what we can do is trigger Article 2864, which says any property or assets acquired by a public officer after the initial declaration required by clause 1 of this article, and which is not reasonably attributable to income, gift, loan, inheritance, or any other reasonable source, shall be deemed to have been acquired in contravention of this constitution. And so far, the reasons that have been proffered either by Madam Cecilia Dapaah or persons in their quarters don't also seem to check out. So for most people, what I'm hearing now is that, okay, even if it's the case, right, that there's no foul play, which could very well be the case, that is not discounted in the line of reasoning. Madam Cecilia Dapaah should just come out once and for all and let us know where the monies are coming from, because this is a public officer with whom public funds are entrusted. She needs to dispel any kind of notion that those public funds that were given to her, entrusted in her care, have been redirected elsewhere. If her and her husband say that they are very successful business people and have been so over a period of time, reasonably you can expect me to think that this is something that can be proved. This should be so easy, so cool.
So easy.
And if I were them, I'd say, hey, Charlie, excuse me, you think all of us are sleeping? Some of us are hustling hard. I've been doing XYZ, XYZ. Maybe some of the reasons why she doesn't want to come out is that at the time that she was an MP, maybe she was doing business that she didn't disclose to the speaker, which is what you must do. So there are so many different elements that I think state institutions can latch on to check this. Why are we wasting time? Was the asset declaration done? Yes or no? Can we go back and juxtapose the two and check?
You know, really, I mean, that's the reason you do the entry point and the exit. So the relevant portion of the law that you read would then now answer whether within the period, the 8-year period when she served, she actually had declared something when she was leaving, and that would have been very easy for anybody, for us to have the answers. It appears that even the asset declaration is not taken too serious by...
It's as though it's a mere suggestion.
Exactly. I mean, and there are too many people who get in and out of government who do not declare their assets.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many people who get in and out of government. Recently, a list was published of persons who are serving and have served who still have not declared their assets in full. And you ask yourself, okay, so who is watching and who is making sure that this is done? Because other than that, then we'll be going around in circles.
Is it a law or is it a suggestion?
It is a law. It's not a suggestion. It is a law. It's a law that exists that you must. It is actually a prerequisite that you must declare your assets as soon as you are. So let's say you have never been a minister designate. You are getting in there. You have been nominated. It is part of the requirements. It's a prerequisite that you have to drop it. A condition precedent that you have to drop it to get in there. And that's where I raised the questions about Parliament, for example, that yes, Parliament has a duty to perform. Parliament is being assertive. Parliament is showing how independent it is and all of that. But some of these things to come to their table, because if I have been nominated and I come to the vetting table and it is a bipartisan vetting table, a committee will sit and finish and take their reports to the meeting of the whole, and the speaker will put the question, and then a decision will be taken as to whether I should be approved or not. And I am supposed to satisfy this requirement of asset declaration, and I don't do it. How then does Parliament go ahead to pass me, to endorse me, to say go and serve?
And yet this is what happens. Because also quite worryingly, as this case
not in all the cases though. There are some who say, look, I will declare, and they in fact go ahead and declare.
Because as this case has traveled, you also know that Madam Cecilia Dapaah actually refused to complete a statement of income and property as this case was going on. So along the way, I don't think that her and her husband have done themselves any favors, and those around her have done her any favors. The stories have been inconsistent, and we're still left here as citizens with no answers.
Okay. It's one of the stories, as we heard, stiff defense, the Angwamo analysis.
All of that supplying to Ghana and other West African countries. Given all that profile, is he able to have $800,000 at the time just before he died? It's a question for everyone to look at. I don't know. You have the answer. This is the profile of the man. You can quickly Google his company. You can do all the checks. That's what we decided to do. Let's do the verification. And if we do the verification, we'll put out the information. And we'll put out the information for everyone to see. This is where we are. That is it. That's the story. So this is $800,000, and it was delivered in a box. No, not yet. Not yet. It was delivered in a box like this. And it is in the same box that was delivered, according to the story, delivered to the mother, that the mother delivered to Cecilia. That your brother has passed. He left me this money for his contractor work. He said he was going to buy land at Bremai and build houses and sell. That's what he told me. And that's what this money is for. So can you please take the money and call the other family people and said, Muniani Sikano, I'm giving it to Cecilia to keep. And I understand that one of them remarked that, since he's on my minister, on our police, so the money was given to Auntie Sisi. She carried the money and brought it to Accra, told her husband that your brother-in-law's money, Eno has given it to me. You know, Eno gave it to her, and then Eno died after that. So after Eno died, they buried Eno, and then they came to deal with it. So those brothers have also written to the police, confirming the source of this money. So now the matter is in the hands of the police. They will deal with it. But when I come to the OSP, shall discuss this Yachino or Yakronfo and all of that. I'm not saying somebody is Kronfo or somebody is not. But these are the facts. These are the real facts. So 300,000, 200,000, and 800,000. So when Auntie Sisi said in her statement that there are discrepancies, the police have added the 800,000 to the 200,000 to be 1 million without giving the particulars. So if you read the statement, you see the particulars. But in the general statement, because the police are investigating and they are prosecuting. So they are prosecuting you for stealing 1 million. They don't give the particulars of 800 was for this person, 900 was for this person, 200 was for this person. But that also sent a wrong signal to the general public that some 1 million, Cecilia has $1 million in her house. She says, my money is $200,000. It's for me. My husband's money is 300,000 euros for him. This one is not for me nor my husband. It is from my brother, and everybody in the family knows that I'm the one keeping it. So this is the story. Those of you who are very, very angry, please calm down. Or you can get more angry if you want. But send me a text to Good Evening Ghana Official and tell us what you think about the story. Now, knowing this story, do you now understand why the president put out the statement he put? Knowing this story. Because, the president is the top national security person. He was told all the facts. I'm sure he called Cecilia and said, what are the facts? I'm sure he called the police and said, what are the facts? The president was abroad. He was in Rome. And he was told all the facts. And then the circumstances suggested that Cecilia must resign anyway. We all agree with that. On Friday night, I was saying that this one, Auntie, she must resign. I love her to bits, but this one, she must resign. I said that to a few friends of mine. Other people said so. And somehow the pressure was put on her. She understood it. And so she tendered her resignation on Saturday. Then this was the president's response. I received your letter dated Saturday, 22nd July 2023, resigning from office as Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources and as a member of government. It is with considerable regret that I accept and I applaud your loyalty to the image and standing of the government. The work you undertook during your period in government was excellent and productive. And I thank you for your wholehearted contribution and devotion to the progress of the government and the nation. I am confident, like you, that at the end of the day, your integrity, whilst in office, will be established. I wish you the very best in all your endeavors. This is where they are saying the president's statements were prejudicial. He said, I am confident, like you, that at the end of the day, your integrity, whilst in office, will be established. I wish you the best. So if you know the story and you are president and you know Cecilia Dapaah, you are more likely to write it like this. You see, when we grow up to the age where the president is 79 and to the age of Cecilia is 70, you get to know people for 40 years. People who know me know that this one Paul won't do. As for this one, I can't put it beyond Paul. He may do it. This one, he won't do it. But some people call me and say, oh, this person said something about you. I know them so well, I say that this person will never say this. I know him. He will never say this. Tell me something else. Some people have reported me to have said something and they say, oh, Paul will never talk like that.
3FM Sunrise.
And then on the 22nd of July 2023, there was a letter of resignation. Mr. President, I write to inform you that I wish to resign from my position as Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources. It's been a great privilege and honor to have been given the opportunity to serve in your government, and as an even greater honor to have worked to try and bring your great vision for our country to fruition. Since yesterday, Friday, July 21, 2023, social and traditional media have been full of stories about a court case involving a theft that took place last year in the home I live with my husband and daughter. The stories sought to suggest that I own various huge sums of foreign currencies and millions of Ghana cedis which have been stolen from my home. Whereas I can state emphatically that those figures do not represent correctly what my husband and I reported to the police. I'm very much aware of the import of such stories around someone in my position. I am resigning, therefore, because I do not want this matter to become a preoccupation of government and a hindrance to the work of government at such a crucial time. I intend to cooperate fully with all state agencies to enable them fully establish the facts. I have no doubt whatsoever that at the end of the process, it will be fully established that I have conducted myself with integrity during my period and in public service, and I will be fully exonerated from all the allegations that have been filed that filled the public domain in the last 24 hours. I thank you, my dear President, for the honor done me in giving me the opportunity to serve our beautiful nation, Ghana. Sincerely, Cecilia Dapaah Miss. What a lovely letter. I thank you, my dear President. You know, Cecilia also wrote, the President also wrote, my dear Cecilia.
Yes, dear to dear.
But you see, the paragraphs talk about the fact that I intend to collaborate fully with all state agencies to enable them to fully establish the facts. Did she fully collaborate with Yoko? Did she fully collaborate with the police CID? As it stands now, we know that the full collaboration was murkier than what had been promised here. Then she also mentioned the political interest, that I'm resigning at this point because it is a crucial time. I don't want this to be the preoccupation of government and a hindrance to the work that government is doing at a crucial time. Unfortunately, since 2023 up to now that Professor Ransford Jampo, Martin Pebu, Dr. Adam Bona, Justice Abdullahi, Domelevo, and Nanaya Akwada, Dr. Akwada had joined, I don't think that it is going to go away in any time.
If Madam Cecilia Dapaah didn't want this to become a preoccupation of government, she could have, for example, completed that statement of income and property. That would have shown more collaboration and a willingness to provide the answers, and also just come out and tell us once and for all, because what she didn't want to become a preoccupation of government is now a preoccupation of the entire nation. It's not just one that government has to battle. We've been asking for, has it been a year already?
No.
Not
July
quite.
Will be a year.
We're
in
gearing up to a year.
Yeah.
And this is still one of the biggest scandals of the Akufo-Addo-led government. It is, like I said, the preoccupation of the entire nation. So that notice that she put out goes contrary to what she was hoping was going to be the case. Like I said, where the case has been left, it is too murky. It is unsatisfactory. We can't just go on as like it's business as usual.
No.
There has to be some conclusion for it to be satisfactory.
Well, former Auditor General Yal Domelevo has also been on the case. He's one of the lead petitioners who want Parliament to conduct a bipartisan probe into this matter. And along with some citizens, and I see dressmakers, I see students, I see aluminium fabricators. I mean, you should see the list, very interesting list of persons, including fire service officers. Everybody seems to be interested in what's going on. But Domelevo spoke on the Ghana Tonight yesterday. Listen to him.
It is my considered view that Parliament has this oversight responsibility over the state institutions. So that is why we have asked Parliament to look into the case and tell us what exactly is the reason behind the apparent refusal of Yoko to investigate the allegation or the offense. Honestly, the story is not believable. If you have been following Yoko, Yoko is one institution which in the past has even been quick at investigating offenses which fall outside their mandate.
3FM Sunrise.
The best in the morning is on 92.7.